This is the second battle between Silverwind and Hunnic warrior. We have Jutes against Ostgoths. So Jutes against the Ostrogoths. For the Jutes we have 4 Nordic Horse Lords, 2 Nordic Horse Raiders, Nordic Hurlers, Nordic Brigade. For infantry we of course have Royal Housecarls. 4 of those. We have the Nordic Raid Leader upgraded to gold. Then we have 3 Hirdmen. And Hirdmen are... they are sort of play second fiddle to the Royal Housecarls. But Hirdmen are a great little unit. You get high health, you get high armor, good melee defense, and scare. They are essentially Roman infantry with scare and worse shields. So over here we have the Ostrogoths, 4 Germanic hurlers, 4 Germanic lancers, 2 Gothic noble Gothic lancers. I mean, these guys can do a lot of damage to infantry, of course, but for their price, I think they are an underwhelming unit. Then we have Gothic warbands. We have 4 Gothic warbands. Then we have 2 Thracian Oathsworns, Noble Germanics in the center, 1 Gothic Folks in the center, Royal Siones in general. It's always nice being able to have a cavalry general to get him out of sticky situations, and to get brace, if he indeed is a brace general, to get brace where you need it. And yep, he is a brace general. Let's see, the Nordic Raid Leader is also a brace general. But the thing with the Nordic Raid Leader, although he can do a lot of damage when charging into blobs, 1 cavalry charge and this guy is off the field, he's also very vulnerable to missiles. So of course the strength of the Jutes, Nordic Horse Lords, Royal Housecarls, and to some degree Hirdmen. If you're able to use Hirdmen in shield wall, they will destroy a lot of superior infantry. So let's just fast forward here until these guys move into range. Rearranging their battle lines ever so slightly at the beginning here. Going extremely wide, and you'll see a lot of this. Slinger center, light infantry support in the center, and then of course heavy flanks to win the cavalry fight. Winning cavalry fights wins games, but something has to be said for winning the skirmish fight as well, because winning the skirmish fight is massive in the late game, especially when you have slingers and you're able to slow down enemy units. If you can slow down enemy units, you're going to be getting more shots off on those units, and you're also going to be, of course, doing more damage to those units. And if those units are exhausted, they're just going to be so slow. So Hunnic warrior here using Germanic hurlers, 2 against 1. These Nordic hurlers are also 2 against 1, but the Nordic hurlers, they don't have precision shot, which of course the Germanic hurlers do. Nordic hurlers are very cheap, very decent slinger option because of their low price. The noble Germanic swords are taking a bit of damage here, but it looks like they're in shield. Are they in shield wall? No, it looks like they're not in shield wall, so they will take a bit of damage. They don't have the best of shields. The Germanic hurlers are not trading well here with the Nordic hurlers at all. 1 Germanic hurler about to be off the field. The noble Germanic swords are also taking damage, so this is not a good engagement for the Ostrogoths. It's a very good engagement for the Nordic hurlers here. Depleting the ammunition of Germanic hurlers and killing Germanic hurlers is a great time for a Nordic hurler. The Germanic hurlers routing off the field. This is actually a good thing, because it means, yeah, they're going to come back here and be available for late game if they pull back. So the Nordic, this Germanic hurler is about to be depleted out of ammunition pretty soon, so focusing on that unit is a good idea, and these Nordic hurlers are doing just that with their final volleys. This Nordic hurler being routed pretty soon, but it might still have some men left able to stop a charge or two. Well, this was a good engagement for the Nordic hurlers, getting on average higher kills than the Germanic hurlers, and of course also doing damage to the noble Germanics. Here we have another Nordic hurler engagement going on, and in this particular case the Germanic hurlers got the first volley. This Germanic hurler using its final volleys against the Nordic horse raiders, potentially. Yeah, very nice. But they're being chased away by these Nordic hurlers. Good idea. Now this is a nicely paced battle, I think. Going wide and going for... Since these slingers potentially cancel each other out, doing anything they can to get an advantage in the skirmish. Let's see, Nordic horse raiders moving up, taking fire. Need to be very careful. These units are super fragile to slinger fire. So even getting a single volley of Germanic hurler fire is not something they are going to want to do. The Germanic hurlers are running out of ammunition. So are the Nordic hurlers. But once again, using Nordic hurlers to defeat Germanic hurlers is a very good time for the Nordic hurlers. Good kills. Here we have the Hirdmen rushing up, and if they go shield wall, they will absolutely murder noble Germanic swords not in shield wall. And now skirmish is starting to become a non-factor. The Nordic hurlers and the Germanic hurlers could of course be used to blunt a few charges. These Nordic brigade love this unit for throwing precursors at incoming enemy cavalry. Now we might see Germanic hurlers being used to charge other slinger units, but both of these units have shit melee stats. The melee stats on the Germanic hurlers are better though than the melee stats on the Nordic hurlers. Well, their offensive stats are better anyway. The Nordic hurlers have better defensive stats. Nordic hurlers also quite a bit more armor. Very little armor, but any bit of armor helps. At least when it's on a shitty, inexpensive unit. And let's see which hurler wins here. The Nordic hurlers have fewer men remaining in the unit. And it looks like, yeah, it's about an even combat here. So let's just fast forward. Germanic hurlers are going to win, but they are out of ammunition. Getting a charge here against the Germanic hurlers. Our men return to the fight. And then the noble Germanics rushed in, took care of the Nordic hurlers. But there are quite a few precursors here, and these Gothic warbands, they have long range on their precursors. So the Nordic horse lords need to be really, really careful. That is one thing that the Jute infantry lacks. It's the ability to do just that. To stay at range and pour fire into incoming enemy cavalry. They have the cheap Nordic brigades for that purpose though. See, let's fast forward again until something happens. We sort of have two separate Ostrogothic deployments here. One on each flank, no center. and the Jutes creating a wedge to mirror that. And these units don't really want to engage each other because either unit in shield wall is going to do very well against the other. So whoever charges there is going to be in a bit of trouble. But these, let's see here. Whoops! Wow, the Germanic hurlers getting charged by Nordic horse lords. Very risky because this Gothic warband is going to destroy Nordic horse lords. Very poor trade there. No, absolutely no reason to do that, to not even get a Germanic hurler off the field. So this Nordic horse lord lost way too many men here. Nordic horse lords are being picked apart by precursors. Might see the same thing happening here with the javelin precursors of the Thracian Oath swords. A bit of a stalemate at this point. Neither side wants to engage. Just mirroring each other's units. Using Nordic Brigade against the Gothic warband. But yeah, they didn't get the charge because of this unit that was in the way. They didn't get to throw their precursors either. Well, this is dangerous. The Nordic Brigade could get precursors off against the Noble Gothic, but it's almost like they have fire at will turned off because they didn't throw their precursors that time. Nordic Brigade. Using the Nordic Brigade to bait javelins would be a good tactic at this point. Oh, dangerous position for the Nordic Horse Lords. No support, getting chased by Royal Siones and Noble Gothics. It's going to get hit, turns around, charges. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been. The Noble Gothic Lancers are getting tied down. Nordic Horse Lords moving around the flanks. Going for the Gothic warband here, it seems. Yep, hitting charge speed against the Gothic warband. But now it gets hit by the Germanic Lancers. This Noble Gothic Lancer is off the field, getting charged by Housecarls. But the Royal Siones now, they are free to get in and destroy Royal Housecarls at will, essentially. Unless these Nordic Horse Lords are pulled out. And they should get pulled out to stop the Royal Sione immediately. Come on, pull out the Nordic Horse Lords. Good charge here by Germanic Lancers, unfortunately, into Nordic Brigade. And here we have two shield walls. Hirdmen should get the better of Noble Germanic swords. Now the Nordic Horse Raiders got smashed by Germanic Lancers, which is to be expected. Nordic Horse Lords, this would be a great point to use Headhunt. Noble Gothic Lancers here getting smashed. Ooh, Nordic Horse Lords got absolutely wrecked there by Gothic Lancers on the charge. But these units are a bit far away from these engagements. If the Jutes are able to finish off these fights before the infantry support arrives and use cavalry to support, then they are in a great position. The infantry is getting ever closer, and ooh, this Nordic Raid Leader is in a super dangerous position here, up against Thracian Oath Swords. He is doing a very good job against them, though. It looks like he got the charge, but the Thracians didn't. Royal Housecarls charging in, but they decided against it. Your Royal Sione is still doing well. Here we have Hirdmen in shield wall. Will hold out against Gothic Folksmen. These Thracian Oath Swords are going to wreck Royal Housecarls when they get the charge. And of course no headhunt ability for the Royal Housecarls, which is a disadvantage they have when they fight Thracian Oath Swords. Also no precursors, a significant disadvantage when facing Thracian Oath Swords. So Royal Housecarls breaking. I don't know whether these Royal Housecarls got a charge, but there are many free units of Ostrogoths able to get in. Nordic Radiator chasing away some noble Germanic swords here. The Germanic Lancers still at 60 men. I don't see too much Nordic Cavalry left on the field. There is this unit a bit far away. Now the Germanic Lancers are taking casualties. Nordic Radiator destroys noble Germanic swords. But so many units free for the Ostrogoths. Royal Housecarl charge, going to wreck the center of the Ostrogoths, but only Gothic folks and Gothic warbands here. And of course, when the Royal Siones start rolling in, they're going to wreck so many units. Brace at this point could be a good idea. Nordic Radiator charging in, finishing off. The Royal Siones, if they're not able to pull out, they can take a lot of damage here, but look at the Germanic Lancers. They're going to get monster kills. They might even kill the Nordic Raid Leader here. Looks like we have Brace activated though, which is going to help these axes kill a lot of enemy cavalry. And yeah, the Royal Siones were kept in combat here. It looks like the Germanic Lancers are also going to be kept in combat, and against this amount of disorganized Brace units, that's not a good idea. So it's ended up being Silverwind taking this, although it didn't look great for him at that point. The Nordic Hurlers do a good job. Royal Housecarls, of course, do a great job. Thracian Oathsworns really didn't perform. And I think bringing Thracian Oathsworns against the Jutes is a bit of a gamble. The Nordic Horse Lords didn't impress. The Nordic Horse Raiders didn't impress. Overall, the Nordic Cavalry was mismanaged, but the Skirmishers were used very well, and 234 kills in the Nordic Raid Leader. That's an impressive display. So congrats to Silverwind. He defeats the Ostrogoths with his Jutes. Strength and honor.